A very good afternoon, everyone. And the panel that we're going to be having now is going to be super interesting. It's going to be all about photography and the insights of the photography from the experts themselves we have on the screen. Mr. Bala sir from 4C, Abhishek from Jodi Clippers, and Saad all the way from Lahore from Ratta Media. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being here and definitely looking forward to this one because all the experts on one screen giving their insights on how the industry has changed and what's new, what's coming up. So, to start off, I would just like to introduce Mr. Balchandar M. Gandekar, sir, as he will be moderating this session. Mr. Bala, sir, he is a producer, director, scriptwriter, editor, cameraman, photographer, author, and publisher, and a founder of 4C Multimedia Private Limited, Hoopsters.in, and Hoopla Club. Wow, sir, that's a lot. That's amazing. So 4C was founded in 1994 and is today Bangalore's premier film production house. It is the only production house that provides script to screen services and spans all genre of films, ad films, corporate films, and documentaries. They also provide end to end solutions for new age technologies like augmented reality, virtual reality, video walls, etc. 4C also specializes in designing experiential zones using the latest of technology in media. Welcome, sir, and we're proud and honored to have all of you on board.
Thank you, Shikha. Can you hear us?
Thanks,
Yes, we
Shikha.
can
Thanks a
hear
lot.
all of you. Thank you,
Hello.
sir, and the stage is all yours.
Oh, perfect. What about other two guys? Hey, Abhishek and Saz. I think
So,
Abhishek, start with you. Why don't you introduce yourself?
sure.
Can you
Hello,
guys hear me?
everyone. Yes, we can hear you. Hi, everyone. This is Abhishek, the founder and director for Jodi Clickers. Jodi Clickers, as you know, is a wedding photography and filming firm based out of Mumbai and London. And we've covered almost 300 weddings now and really looking forward to the upcoming season. Also, apart from Jodi Clickers as a service, we also extend other services to the couple with our other brands such as Nutcut and Bawal Street. I think I would hand over to Saad to
There's a video
introduce himself.
disturbance. Is it only with me or is it everybody?
No, we are
Yeah,
good.
there was some distortion. All right. Hello, everyone.
There's
I'm
some
Saad.
disturbance in the video. Is it only for me?
No, it's good. I can hear you.
Okay, so let's continue. Hello, everyone. I'm Saad. I'm from Lahore. I run a company called Ratta Media here. You might have heard about it. We specialize in creating
Hello.
wedding films and hello. Hello, Bala sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear, but there's a lot of disturbance. Is it only with me or everybody?
No, we can hear you clearly.
Yeah.
Hello.
Shikha,
Hello.
could you see if the connectivity of Bala sir is better?
So I can hear
Abhishek,
all of
I
you
lost all of you.
seamlessly and clearly. I think it's Bala sir. There's some issue at your end. If you could just quickly log out and log in, that would be
Yeah.
great.
Saz, are you guys okay? I mean, is the video okay at your end?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Hello.
I think
Hello.
Bala sir, you need to log out and log in.
So have you logged in from two
No, I'm okay
devices?
now. Okay, let's. Yeah.
So please
Yes,
log
yes, I
out from
removed
one.
one. I removed one. Okay.
Yeah, please remove one
Yeah, I've
device.
done that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think now we're good to
Yeah,
go.
Sad, go ahead.
All right. So where was I? Yeah. I run a company called Ratta Media here. I'm the creative director. My sister is the CEO. We specialize in wedding films, and more recently, we've gotten into original music, and that's the trajectory of the Indian industry that we've been following. And I am looking forward to learning from these very talented individuals, Abhishek, the Jodi Clickers, whose work I really admire, and Bala sir, who has the experience far more than far longer than I've been alive. So over to you.
Okay, guys, here we start. I mean, we are discussing a subject which has been there for quite some time, and it's wedding photography and videography. So we're going to cover both the issues in this chat of ours. Saad and Abhishek, whatever questions I'm going to ask, you have maximum of a minute to answer, so we don't go
Okay.
too long on the whole program. And let's not make it a very, formal discussion. Let's just chat because there's a lot to learn from you guys too. Okay. So to begin with, I mean, as a photographer, in our generation, it was not as simple to shoot a wedding, wedding stuff. And as a photographer, again, being a wedding photographer was the lowest in the rung of being a photographer. I mean, if you're invited to shoot a wedding, you actually felt insulted. And I stopped going to my friends' weddings and relatives' weddings because they used to only call me to take photographs. And one, it was very expensive, and nobody had budgets for those. A roll of film would cost 200 rupees plus processing plus this. You only got 36 shots out of it, and you had to be very careful. The flashes were not as good as they are today. And we had only one single flash which was on top of the camera. We didn't have umbrellas; we couldn't afford them anyway. So yeah, but having been the journey for almost 40 odd years in this field, it's fascinating to see the way wedding photography has emerged. I mean, I would say it's thanks to the digital era, one, and because two things it did was you could shoot as many as you want without worrying about how much it costs you, and then you had post production to cover all the mistakes people make as a photographer. So life became easy. So I want to ask the first question. Saad, let's go with you. How did you guys get into business? How did you become a wedding photographer or a videographer or whatever you want to call it?
Quite interesting. I was in university. It was my final semester. उससे पहले I was dabbling into photography, taking photos for myself. I loved placing human subjects into good scenery. उसके साथ-साथ ना I was writing script. I had written a few, and there were some that I wanted to execute on my own. But budget constraints इस तरह के होते हैं कि कितने you can't really produce the image that you have in your head without compromising on the quality of what you're making. So abhi tak I'm still trying to amass the amount required to execute the script that I'd written back then. That's how I got into it. I discovered that there was a market for narrative wedding films, and we had first mover advantage. A lot of people were doing that in India. Pakistan, where the market was still waiting to be populated. So yeah, we had that advantage, and that's how I got into this.
Nice. Abhishek, what about you?
It's a long story, but I'll try to keep it short and sweet. So basically, photography has always been part of me since the time I was in 6th standard. So it obviously goes back a long time. But wedding photography happened by chance, where I happened to shoot a friend's wedding because I was running out of money. So I wanted to give that as a gift. And it was a different style then because there's already a team there, and I was trying to take some alternative angles for the same event. And the photos came out really well. And from there on, the kind of compliments I did get, I kind of realized that this could be the next big thing that could happen in my life. And back then, the whole idea of candid photography was not very well versed with the clients. So for me, trying to enter this space and positioning myself as a candid photographer was the big task. But eventually, like how we're doing a virtual wedding expo, I did a real wedding expo where I hosted a stall, and from there I got my first deal, and and rest is, as you can see, it's been 9 years now into this field, and the entire industry has grown, and we've seen it. I think we are one of those few who've seen how the industry has evolved in the past decade or so.
Yeah, Abhishek, since you brought the point of industry growing, why do you think this whole business has grown the way it's grown?
See, I would mainly say that, there's big transformation in photography has happened a couple of times. One of which I would say would be shifting from black and white to color, and the second one would be from color to digital, right? Once we've gone digital, then the entire platform has opened up to a lot of people trying to figure out how to get into this kind of photography, because it's become, as you said, it's become simpler. Technology has made things way easier for us photographers to provide something which is more visually appealing. So as initial days, it was a very expensive process. Now comparatively, the entire process is not very tough, it's simple, and I think it is very cost effective. Secondly, I feel as technology has evolved, also the clients have, the perception of clients towards wedding photographers have significantly changed. Their earlier photography was the last bit that people used to book, and we can proudly say we are the first or the second vendor to be booked now, because the value of good photography is realized with the addition of social media platform that has come in. People are more pro to having good photos which they can showcase on, whether it's Instagram or Facebook, and some sort of a thing. I feel there's a connect of these platforms coming up, which kind of has added a lot of flavor to the entire wedding photography industry.
Sir, you came from a video background in terms of films and script, and I'm not talking video, but I'm talking of films. How easy or difficult was it to also look at photography? Because I'm a filmmaker and a photographer. No, I'm trying to say there is a confusion sometimes.
It is. Yeah, I think much of it has to do with technology. Since cameras have evolved to become both 5D Mark II, I think it was the first camera DSLR to have both photo and video. Am I correct? I might be wrong. So uske baad se na, everyone who was dabbling into photography, they had the tools to try out videography as well. My first camera happened to be the 6D, the Canon 6D. And I still remember I used to have a 24-105, and that was my go-to everything. With time, I realized yeah, everyone did. So with time, I realized that there were some video constraints, and I was seeing all of this amazing content coming out of other places, and I go, why can't we do that? But I started realizing the constraints of budgeted cameras. Then my first video camera turned out to be the A6300, Sony Alpha A6300. I still think it's a firecracker of a camera, and it pushed my creativity to where it is now. With the technology that we have. When I look at it now, it has to do with the fact that I had the tools to do both. That is why I was able to experiment with both. So it's as simple as that. As long as you can do, you have the tools, you'd be able to experiment. And someone with the creativity and the inquisitiveness to explore the arts that we do, unke paas jab cheezein padi hoti hain, so they try them out. Yeah.
So what do you? I mean, see, I'm a guy who looks at. I never looked at technology in terms of defining cameras and stuff like that. Okay, we come from the old generation where we knew how to manipulate things. We come from the manual era. So how important is technology when you're doing wedding photography?
Oh, it's very important. Abhishek? I think the 6 years ago. Oh, all right, so go on.
No. So yeah, important in terms of wedding photography itself is an art where you're trying to enter people's space and get the best out of them. So trying to manage technology in terms of, if you had inferior technology and managing a crowd and getting the right shot, would have been very tough. So a support of technology definitely gives us that bandwidth to enter a particular space, such as a wedding event, and work more on framing rather than structuring other things. So when we're talking about cameras which which are very effective in low light conditions. So if it was a previous era, we would be doing light setup and stuff like that to get the right shot. And now just a good camera with a great low light capability can just do wonders. So with less effort. So obviously, how you see technology has actually added that extra bit so that, in less time more can be created. Also, apart from photography, we've also extended technology in other ways, in which we kind of provide an experience to the guests, right? So when we say weddings, it's all about food and decor, and that's what people talk about, and that's kind of an experience for the guests. We as photographers, and especially Jodi Clickers, we have introduced a Jodi Clickers Plus app, which is actually designed for the guests to access their photos on the go. And why it is more effective is it is something which we click, so the quality is great, it goes onto this platform, and the guest just needs to take their selfie, and they get only those photos out of the heaps of photos that we click. So here technology suddenly, you know reduces the time and also brings in that experience for the guests, which did not exist before. I don't think so. Early on, people who attended weddings could actually, would go back and, even having their photos clicked well, would go back to their home and get those photos. So technology here has helped us get that click to the person whom we've actually clicked it for. And that's the
Yeah, Abhishek,
experience that we are talking about.
perfect. I mean, see, considering you're talking of technology, anybody can buy technology. It just costs money, right?
Yes.
So, Sir, tell me, what should the clients look for, beyond technology? Because it's very interesting. When initially people would look at our portfolios to give us work. In the recent times, I've had a lot of clients. When I say I'm making a film on a documentary or any film, very interesting that both the client and the janta or whatever, the first question they never ask me is, what's the film about or what's the script or blah. They say, which camera? It's a very sad story there. First question everybody asks me, which camera? So I tell them it's a mobile phone, and they just leave me alone. They leave me alone after that. Okay, so it's actually quite fun. But having said that, anybody can buy a camera. And all I hear youngsters talk about is, I have this camera, I'm working on this camera. Oh my God, the new Sony has come in, the new, Canon has come in. I'm sad that Nikon is not in the game right now, which is very, very sad. I wish it was. Though that was my camera. In our days, we had a Nikon fan or a Canon fan. And I was a Nikon fan. So having said that, what should the clients look for apart from technology? Because anybody can use this jargon of saying, I shoot with Sony, blah, blah, or, Canon, blah, blah.
Yeah.
What should the clients look for? Saj, go ahead.
I think generally the skill of a photographer, it comes off in their portfolio, regardless of what camera they shoot with. You need to have a good eye for aesthetic. You need to be able to tell a story, and you need to know when to frame and when to click. All of these basic things, they come off somehow in how you present yourself on social media and what your teasers, your trailers, and everything that's a part of your portfolio looks like. So 20-30 साल पहले ना ये होता था कि देसी शादियों में, Indian and Pakistani weddings, we used to spend so much on food and decor. Like Abhishek said, photography was the last thing considered. Social media has galvanized that need for good photos. So वो जो social comparison है, it I think automatically filters out bad photographers. You have a comparison right in front of you, what a good photo is, what a bad photo is. Even though if you're not educated in the art of framing, you can tell, yeah, this is bad. You should be able to tell this is good. In case of video, you should be able to tell, yeah, this is shot nicely, this is framed nicely, this is edited nicely. So I think the comparison.
Okay. I'm going to stop you here. Saj, I want to stop you here. But anybody can answer this. So, what is a good photograph? I mean, let's come.
I think that is such a subjective question.
Exactly.
I
So
think
how
I would say a good photograph is something which I think the current generation, everyone has developed a particular eye, or a visual understanding of an image which looks good or bad. Because why I say this is, I say this with a lot of experience that I've had in couple of my dealings with client. So usually we are dealing with two generations. One is our father figures and one is people of our age. And the father figures, they tell us that at the end of the day, photo hi hai. They'll be like, ye bhi photo hai, wo bhi photo hai. They do not have an eye. of which is a good photo and which is a bad photo. As long as it is focused, it is a good photo. That's for them. But for our generation, they understand what colors is, they understand what composition is, they understand this is a photograph which is more arty in nature. This photograph has a better lighting. uh, Maybe they do not understand technology side of it or technical side of it, but they do understand what kind of you know what makes them feel good in terms of looking at a photo. So here we have seen an entire transformation from one generation to the other, in terms of we don't need to explain our generation whether this is a good photo or not. It is universally accepted. I mean, that's what I feel.
So coming back question, what should, apart from looking at your portfolio and stuff like that, what are other things a client should look for when he approaches for services?
I think what I strongly feel, apart, see, at the end of the day, if the client has called you, you have already passed the barrier of uh, you know uh, the fact that they have liked your work. So the other most important thing is, uh, a good photo is only created with a good team. And the good team does not only mean a photography team, it's a team between the photographers and the client itself. How does a good photo video team and a client kind of sync together is by the process of reducing perception difference amongst them. Once that perception difference is reduced, you as a photography team kind of deliver something which is close to a client's heart, rather than pushing your creativity as a paramount, because the what the client wants should be your first priority, and in that you put your creative flavor to create something which eventually they will enjoy. So for a client, it is important to understand, when they're speaking to the owner or the photographer, what is the vibe the photographer gives. Every photographer has his own USP in terms of whether he can talk in a certain way which makes you happy. If that photographer makes you happy, automatically, if he's shooting, your photos going to come out that way. But you might find a photographer is too professional, and you're talking only business with him, then maybe even on the floor when he's shooting, the photos your photos, the smile won't look very natural, because that's not the comfort space you have created with the photographer. So I think this is the most important aspect which needs to be looked on, and then you move on to the pricing, contract, and other aspects of closing.
That's interesting, Abhishek. That's really when something. And for all the wannabe wedding photographers who are watching this program, Sad, what would you tell them to be prepared with? What should they be prepared with?
Oh, they should be prepared for clients with mood swings. I'm sorry. But yeah, I think the unpredictability of business like photography, now no two situations are same. There are times when clients come to you, hum ye dekh ke aaye the, maine kaha, this was not your event and this is not you. Matlab, how could I reproduce something that was shot in an entirely different setting, under different circumstances, different decor, different lighting? So yeah, the reproducibility of certain content, the clients need to understand that they're different. They would get a different product. So obviously we would cater it to them, customize it, and make sure it is exactly to the brief that they want. But it's a process of reciprocity. I've had amazing clients who share the same enthusiasm and fervor of getting the video done right, and we're very enthusiastic in shooting them. But I've had clients who want us to show up on the day of their wedding, and that's the only coordination they're willing to have. And ultimately, the product that they get is confined to that limited interaction that I've had with them. So that has been a problem, I guess. Clients.
So how does a young photographer coming into business prepare his portfolio?
I had to shoot a lot of friends for free right off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, you start with, as I think every wedding photographer shares the same story, where they shoot their near and dear ones and build their portfolio, where they kind of showcase, what is their skill set level. And then also, collaboration is the key here. When you're doing wedding photography, you cannot do it alone. So get someone else on board who has probably that X factor or a greater experience than you, so that you see him and you kind of sometimes emulate his style or look at his style and work something new on your own, so that there's something to learn. So I feel going uh, for the war alone does not help. You find someone else who has been there, done that, and kind of helps you walk that path, and eventually you'll realize that you're building up a lot of skill sets which will probably add flavor to the images that you create.
That's interesting. You brought a very interesting word called collaborations. Now, having this brought that up, how important are people like wedding planners in your whole business?
Saad, you want to take it up?
Very
Because
important. Yeah,
Saad, yes,
okay, very important. Lahore's wedding industry now it's so monopolized. There are 3 4 wedding planners that I can name that have an 80% share of these super elite weddings that we have here. So that means 4 companies ruling over the wedding industry, and that's about it. And 3 of them happen to be caterers slash wedding planners, and the 4th is just a wedding planner. So yeah, I would not have been here had it not been for my enthusiasm to collaborate with them. I collaborated with all of them, made sure they were happy and they would recommend me to clients, and ultimately, build a better clientele and a better reputation in the market. And I don't know how important it would be in an industry the size of India, but for a smaller market, you know everyone, and you need to be in the good books of everyone. Okay,
And
Abhishek,
also
what's
I
your take
think
on this?
Abhishek,
I
how do they add value to your what you're doing?
see,
How can
at
they
the
add
end
Oh
of
yeah,
the
value?
day, what happens is, have even if we have closed a deal with a client, it's the planners who meet the client day in day out, right? We do create that kind of a conversation, but we are half of how much the planners interact. So eventually there are a lot of things that we need to know about a client where we cannot ask them directly. That's where the role of a planner comes in, where if we have some sort of a rapport with the wedding planner, we can ask such details from them and they kind of assist us in that. So uh, working as a great mediator between us and the client is the wedding planner, which is for us the most important role that they can play. Secondly, also during the shoot, a planner's role is also in terms of scheduling it right. And when I say scheduling it right, not asking the photographers to come an hour or 2 hours prior to the event, because that gap where 2 hours a photographer has to wait and then start the shoot, he's already down on energy. So a planner can be very effective in utilizing the strength of the photography team by making sure that such small details are taken care of. It not only helps in getting good photos for the client, but also eventually, the entire experience of the wedding completely changes, especially when you see the entire photo video team active, and also helps them click great decor photos. And that probably helps wedding planners also get their own business. And apart from that, I also feel that how a photographer and client relationship is built over months. Similarly, you need to build the same sort of a relationship with your planner. It helps you getting the perfect lighting. It helps you in coordinating everything around you perfectly. It helps you get you those extra perks that you may need during the photo video service that you're providing. And,
So, yeah,
yeah.
Abhishek, sorry. You or just what are the things your photographer or a videographer, a combination, offer as an end product to the client? What should the client expect as an end product? What do you give him?
You're
Sad,
asking me? Okay,
sad,
Sad,
can
take
you
it
go
up.
on?
Sad.
I give them a teaser video, I give them an album, and I give them a longer video if they book me for a day. That's how I've compounded things, but I would like to know how things are delivered in India, and they get a limited set of edited photographs, the number of which shall not be disclosed.
Sad's deliveries are very short and sweet. I wish even we could work that way in India, but having being in a highly competitive market, I think being innovative with your deliverables also is one of the key factors where you land up closing deals. So as a firm, we've always believed in giving something new every year, whether we talk about deliveries or whether we are talking about technology. So coming back to delivery, the basic hygiene deliverables, if I can call it, are your teasers, trailers, and we also give 30, 45 minutes or 60 minutes film. Apart from that, if there is, there we also sometimes need to cater to different generations, and the older generation still would want to see something which is a detailed, longer format, who's come and gone and how is the decor, food, and all of that. So that's an outsourced service that we provide to them. Apart from that, of course, we have whole lot of photos edited for them, unlike Sads. And also we provide an album which is not part of the package. We believe in, once the photos come in, it's only then we open up the entire platform of coffee table books in terms of how they want their book to be. And I also believe the spending power of a client changes post the wedding, because before the wedding the only thing that is going on in their mind is to save costs. So I kind of push the albums post the wedding, because after 2 3 1 months, once they sit to figure out the kind of album, they would definitely want to invest on something which is more beautiful and may turn out to be a little more expensive because of the kind of texture and quality. And I think these deliverables are definitely some of the deliverables which I think everyone gives here in India. Apart from that, as I told you, we also have an Jodi Clickers app, which is an experience for the guests. We are also trying to integrate the app with printing services for the guests who can order prints for their wedding photo, because they all dressed up well and we click beautiful photos of them, and a lot of them want prints and framing to be done so that they can put it up. So there are clients who want us to provide some sort of a return gift for the guest via our app technology. So as you see, I'm kind of mixing deliverables with technology to provide a greater experience for our clients.
So where do you see the whole wedding photography or wedding videography scene going ahead? I would say next 5 years or 3 years.
Sad?
Okay. I think a lot of it has to do with the scale of weddings. I don't know what the COVID situation in India is, but in Lahore, we've had to scale back a lot of the events that we're having. In the next 5 years, I see a lot of filmmakers having this as a side job. What Bollywood did to India was you had an infrastructure for filmmaking and this entire industry at the back of the wedding industry. Now you had people, Jaffers, editors, videographers, cinematographers from that industry seeping in there. The infrastructure here, it was not present. So many of the cinematographers, videographers, they came from people who wanted to be vloggers and Instagrammers and whatnot, and that was the origin of their skills. Though they had YouTube to teach them, and I think we're still on that trajectory. We're still trying to redefine the identity of what a Pakistani wedding film is. In the next 5 years, I think it'll become a lot more concise, because we're used to much longer videos. I don't know what's wrong with people, but they have the tenacity and the penchant to sit through our long videos. I think that is going down even further. Ab hoti hain 5-6 minute ki zyada se zyada, or if they really want all their dances or sangeet dances covered from multiple angles, they get an hour long video. That's it.
I think Saad, your next 5 years probably we'll be on this similar platform, and where you'll probably be telling us that, Abhishek, we finally started giving an entire plethora of deliverables to our clients.
I hope that it doesn't come to that.
So
I'll just use your app and give them photos.
Do you think that in tomorrow's wedding, the whole thing, like we do reality shows, do you think that tomorrow's wedding will be choreographed, designed for the photographers and videographers?
I think they are today. That's still happening. I've had entire events done. I've had entire events staged, choreographed, and even decorated for the purpose of shooting one lip dub video. That was the purpose of the entire event. That's it, to get that lip dub video out. And the entire event was designed to make sure it was shot right. So yeah, that's already happening.
No, I'm talking the whole wedding itself.
So basically, in
Scripting and
Western
wedding.
culture, yeah, Western cultures, they have this reverse rehearsal days and stuff like that, right? One day of rehearsal, and then they kind of repeat the same thing. But in Indian weddings, what Balasar is trying to say, that would we look into an era where the Mehndi event is rehearsed, or the wedding itself is rehearsed? I mean, I want to believe it's not going to happen, but you know anything is possible. If we always tend to somewhere copy things, but here, since it is also a matter of cost, the Western events are not a lot of them, it's just one or two events.
Just
So
one
it
day.
is possible, yeah, it is possible to rehearse. But when you're looking at Indian weddings, uh someone has to be really stacked up with a lot of cash to do rehearsals.
No, it may not be a rehearsal, but it could be something which is planned for that particular day. Everything is been
Yeah,
told what to do. That might come in.
correct. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, tell me. Okay, sir. Three fun, crazy, very agonizing situations during your shoots all these years.
Hmm.
It can be fun. It can be horrifying. Whatever.
Okay, I've had a client ask me to change the decor in her video, and I've took an hour for me to explain how that's not possible.
Okay. So
That will yeah, yeah, that will definitely stay in my top three. There was also a situation. Uh, okay, in Pakistan, we still have there are certain weddings that are segregated. There's a boys' side and there's a girls' side. The parda situation. So I've had one of my photographers run into a situation at a wedding. Okay, I shouldn't be going into that incident. Yeah. Yeah. You can imagine the situation. The
I've
third
had
has
a
to be.
I've Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off.
good, sir.
No, no. Okay, so I'll go, and number three would have to be when I started off, I did not know how prints worked. Okay, and for the longest time, I'd been getting things printed and reprinted, and they wouldn't turn out nice. And then after a month or so, I figured that my computer, my editing system, and the printer was configured to a different color space, and that was so stupid. I realized, oh my god, there's so much for me to learn, but it's been a process since then. I still have all of these green albums to look at. That as a reminder, okay, there's always more to learn.
Okay,
Yeah,
your most
definitely.
frustrating moment, Sad. You all said nice fun thing. What is the most frustrating where you felt like walking away from the whole shoot?
Yeah, there have been situations where the clients being unreasonable and they've changed the location of the shoot three times on the day, and here I am running around the entire city. Lahore is a city with a lot of monuments and Mughal era structures. So they had booked a certain place, and they couldn't figure out if that is where they wanted to shoot or some other place. I was running around the city for 4 hours, and yeah, that time I was like, I can't deal with this.
Happens,
And their
happens,
attitude,
happens.
oh God, I can't deal with clients with a certain attitude.
Abhishek, how are the Indian
I
clients?
I think it's more like there are few of them who still, especially the older generation, still do not understand the value that we bring in. Uh, although our generation people understand every bit of it that we produce, so it kind of reflects in their sometimes in their attitude towards us. But I've seen the transformation going to a better way in the past 8 to 9 years. But I remember the initial 2 3 years, uh, you know we were not given that level of importance still at events. And I there were some of my photographers who were treated uh, uh, badly, or probably pushed around, or basically not respected. Let's put it that way, which kind of hurt a little. And then I kind of took control of the situation. Also, a lot of times initially we had problems in terms of the food. So now I have special clause in our contract where my entire team would have with the guests, because initially they used to keep a separate place for them and stuff like that, which I really didn't appreciate. So I then eventually started taking up weddings who where people up, so food is something which is very gets very personal, right? It is something
Yes.
where you're invited to a wedding and then you are treated as if you're an outsider, whereas you are trying to work with a family in tandem to create something which is most beautiful in their life, which is going to stay as a great memory. So in order to support or give that warmth to such a team, small things like these need to be taken care of, eventually, so that the output turns out better. We No one asks for something lavish, but it is just, I think, these little respect that you give to the team just does wonders. In terms of 100% productivity can suddenly turn into a 300% productivity with just these small
Absolutely.
things.
Absolutely. If anybody is watching this show, you can send in your questions. We got the last 3-4 minutes to go. So people can send in the questions and see what it is. But okay, for the sake of again the photographers and the clients and stuff like, what do you guys look for?
Bala sir, before you
Yeah,
ask a question, I had a question for you. How do
sure.
you are in a completely different space when it comes to photo and video. Uh,
Yeah.
how do you see yourself of the as we call it, the previous generation,
Hmm.
kind of merge with us with the kind of deliverables that we provide? And I know that you do a lot of VR stuff and other
Hmm.
uh, the animations and all of that. So can you kind of highlight in terms of how we can kind of come together or sync in to produce better films or better experiences for our client?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to tell you as to how do you look at weddings of photography in the future or videography. Now, with technology becoming more accessible and more, mobile, if you may say so, I think what can happen is the whole wedding can become a fantasy. You can create a whole level of fantasy. You know, for example, if you actually plan the whole wedding, you can actually have a green screen around the whole, mantap or whatever you want to call it. Okay, and then I can change the whole look and feel. I can change
Maybe
the look
that is
and
what
feel.
my
I can.
bride asked.
Oh yeah, you can, but then she didn't know how to ask it. She couldn't do it post, but you can actually plan it. Like if the whole place was had a say a green background. I'm just giving an example as of today. I could possibly take the mantap up to the clouds. So the whole wedding is actually happening, God knows where. So we can bring in that. You can even improve your storytelling. There could be a lot of sequences, and Saad, I think you'll appreciate better, where you can actually script the whole thing and then take them through a whole technology bit where it's very fantasy land and Cinderella and go into the stuff. Yeah, there is
I
a lot
think
of opportunity can come. Yeah.
there's a border,
That's,
there's a very fine line between what a wedding film is and what a short film is, and I think we're constantly blurring it out and pushing the envelope. There are several scripted instances in a wedding film, but it has never happened that we've scripted the entire thing. What you're suggesting,
yeah.
it sounds crazy, but I'm equally excited to do
It's,
something
it's,
like
it's,
that. Sounds great.
it's possible if you've got a young couple who are actually slightly in the creative zone, slightly who understand, appreciate these things, and you actually sit and talk to them, it could be a fascinating idea. It could be a beautiful thing. You're doing your pre-wedding photos, post-wedding photos, or whatever you guys do. No,
Yeah, that is
structure the whole
quite
thing.
scripted. Yeah.
You can actually script it and take it further and say, okay, how does that move into the wedding arena? How does that move into the reception? How does it move into post? That could be fascinating. It all depends. See, again, like saying, it's all about the clients getting aware of things. Clients
And
also
I
saying, I
mean,
want something more.
I would like to add one point in terms of scripting. I feel that there is definitely room for scripting in some of the sections immediately where the client feels that they don't get time on the real day, on the wedding day
Correct.
or Sangeet day. Uh, they feel they're going to hurry it up, so they're not going to get the right shots. even if that is to do with getting some, getting ready shots done, or trying to sequence an entry in terms of from one event to the other, which could be scripted a little. I know there won't be any crowd or anything like that. I don't know how it works, how you're imagining the entire rehearsals to be, but I think switching from one event to the other, points which are difficult to shoot at a wedding event can be scripted, but I feel it is a long way to go, and slightly
No,
it looks
it's a
like
long
an
way to go.
expensive trip. Yeah.
It also depends on your wedding planners. You see, if they are okay with looking at a bigger picture and collaborating, you can do these things. But if the ego comes into play, you can't do a thing about it. So that's another big problem you'll face: the ego issue between various parties involved. So
There are a
one
lot
needs
of
to.
parties.
Why are you both smiling at the word ego?
I'm saying
Is
there are a
ego
lot of
and wedding
parties.
planners?
Pardon? What's
There
that?
are just so many players in that entire equation now.
I know.
A
Yeah.
green screen also means that the creativity of the wedding planner is pushed back because we're doing so many things in post.
I know.
So
I know.
yeah, there
No,
we
no, but
would
things.
definitely be in a
No,
position.
but things are getting better where I don't need a green screen anymore. You can actually pick up. Like you do Photoshop,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
also applicable to. I think it's complicated to a level, but you can. It's going to come in very soon where it's going to be simplified. You don't really need a green screen. You can do it like a Photoshop. Where the pixels start being taken out. Things are going to definitely happen. You guys got anything to say? I don't know what my audience is in terms of number of people, what they are belong to. But do you guys have anything to say, share as a bye-bye story?
Hmm.
Sad will have
I
a
have.
good bye-bye story for sure.
Yeah. Okay. I think my best wedding films have been the ones where there's been a sense of tragedy as well. Whoa, I love this film. Vanilla Sky, Vanilla Cloud Atlas, Vanilla Atlas. Yeah, it's a Tom Cruise film where this beautiful line, the sweet is never as sweet without the sour. And I think the same applies to wedding films. You add a bit of sadness to get the happiness to impact just as much. And when clients they really open up to you and what makes them sad and what makes them happy, you have their emotional triggers in your hand, and then you can really put out the product that pushes their buttons. That's what I love doing. Abhishek, over to you.
Shucks.
I would want to
I thought
talk
you
more
would.
about what's but Sad, that's lovely. I mean, that's a very interesting line, I must say. Probably I'll use it more often now or somewhere else. But yeah, coming I mean, I would want to point out on the real problems I feel our wedding photography and filming fraternity must be facing at this point of time. A lot of clients must be, especially asking photographers to cut down costs, and kind of compare them with other vendors, saying that, they are reducing costs, it's less number of plates, smaller space. But I just want to tell the clients, and also tell the planners who would be dealing with the clients, that I think at the end of the day, wedding photography filming is such that our work happens around those 50 important people, even if it's a 500 people event or 1,000 people event. Those 50 to 75 people are the most important, where we focus on, and that's where our output revolves around. So for us, that effort is the same once we come on board, and the effort is same once we kind of take that entire work into a post production team. So for us, there is that effort remains the same, and I hope you would appreciate that, and not try to push a photo video firm to reduce costs, because it's not changed anything for them whatsoever in terms of bringing their costs down. On that note, of course, I give all of you guys that confidence that I know the COVID situation is going on, but we will come out of this, and we'll come out stronger, and we're looking at a very good 2021 season.
Perfect. Okay, thank
Yeah.
you guys. I think we're running out of time. Thanks for being there. Abhishek and Saad, wonderful meeting you. Like I told Saad, keep in touch. Let's not disappear. There's a lot of fun we can
Yes.
have. Things might happen. Who knows what? And
Please
let's
come
keep
to
in touch.
Lahore soon.
Yes, I am
Yeah,
coming. I'm a foodie. I got to go and eat the food there. Okay,
sure.
so
Definitely, I'd
yes,
love to
and
host
Shika, you
you.
are back to tell us. Huh?
And Saad, it was nice meeting you virtually. And what better platform than Espousal doing its first virtual wedding expo? And congratulations, Shikha, for such a wonderful event that you guys have organized. And congratulations to Arvind as well.
Thank you
Yes,
so much,
Shreya.
Abhishek.
Yes,
Thank
thank you
you so
guys.
much.
Have a nice day.
Thank
Have
you
a nice
so much for
weekend.
having me.
And keep in
Thank
touch.
you.
Okay, listen. Save
Yes,
our
thank you so
numbers
much,
and
everyone, for being here. And yes, stay in touch. And thank you for being on board. It was a lovely discussion. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm sure even the audience did. So it's a pleasure and honor to have all of you. Thank you, Saad. Thank you, Abhishek, and thank you, Bala sir, for moderating this session. See you guys soon. Thank
See
see
you.
you
you.
guys. Have
Okay.
fun. Have a nice weekend.
You too.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Take care.